Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm going to do a reading. We're right on the other side of that 5-5 portal. Of course, fives being about big change. 5-5, the Wheel of Fortune, the turning of the wheel. And what's interesting is this year that portal coincided with a lot of solar activity. So we haven't really had any high level flares since before those eclipses. And so what I've learned and experienced from the eclipses myself is that the C flares and the lower level, mid to lower level M flares, if you're sensitive to these things, but even if you're not, it's still going on. Okay, it's like they build a pressure. They build a pressure in the in the atmosphere, the energetic atmosphere that just kind of like churns and targets whatever within us needs to go. So of course, all of the programming, the false programming, the separation consciousness really lacks consciousness, victim, the world being random, lack, limitation, victor, fear consciousness, separation consciousness. All of those programs are lodged in our cells, in our bodies, in our organs. And so I think it was around December that a lot of us were doing a lot of purging in our homes. It was uncanny how many people were, because I did a video and I was like going through my whole house and there were so many people that were like, oh my God, I'm doing the same thing. Or, finding out even later people doing the same thing at that time. But it was also coinciding with when we were really starting to get into the body, get out of the body, these programs where a lot of us have been working on ourselves and doing the shadow work and doing the clearing and the consciousness work and all this for a really long time, but then it coming out of the bodies. Okay, so the solar energy really, really assisting with that because it targets those areas and then also helps activate our DNA. So it's twofold. It's an activation and it's a clearing. And so the kind of churning of the C flares and the lower level M flares, getting it all up to a nice simmer, up to a boil, and then the X flares will come in, or the high M flares, and it'll kind of like chunk stuff off and clear. So you might, if you notice from the time about before the eclipse and through the eclipses, of course the eclipses were very intense, but there was just this building and this building and this building, and there was like very little like intense solar activity after like pretty much this whole year. It's been pretty consistent. So it was really interesting to me. And then knowing that there's that like pressure building, churning, almost to the point where personally I felt like I can't take anymore. Like I don't know if I can take anymore. It's just building and building and building. And then last Wednesday we had an X flare, and for me it was like, oh my gosh, finally this release. And then immediately it started building and building and building again. And then we had more high level M flares. I think we had 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 M flares, and then an X flare. We had 3 X flares since Wednesday. We even had an X 4.5. So X is being the highest that we have gone, for humanity so far. And so the only one the highest that's been charted. And so anyway, a lot of release. So I don't know if you noticed that this past weekend for me, it was like the veils fell off. I just had so much clarity, and I think a lot of us have been doing a lot of clearing of density within ourselves and within the collective, and things have been pretty dark. And it's kind of that analogy of the hamster wheel. When you have certain patterns, it's like you can go around and around and around with them, but of course in these energies it's for the purpose of clearing. So it's like the onion, you do a level and then you clear, and then you do another level and you clear, and it feels very relentless, but yet the solar and the galactic energy coming through the solar activity is here to help us, to assist us, to force us to clear something that we're experiencing. It's a roller coaster ride, and we're on it, and we can't get off. Especially if you came here, if your soul, most people watching this video, if not all, would have chosen to come here as a light worker, as in service for this ascension, for this evolution of humanity, shift of the ages, whatever words you want to use. So yeah, it's just showtime. You can't get off now. And whereas before, it kind of like would do a dip of evolutionary clearing work, and then we could kind of go back to our like normal lives, go back to the program, and then we'd do another. But now it's like the program's just falling, and I'm getting chills. It's like it can't hold us anymore, and we can't hold in it. We're vibrating at a frequency above that, and so everything's just purging, and it's coming out really, really fast. It's coming out fast within us, fast in the world, and it can be very, very overwhelming. So anyway, after those X flares that we had, now we're building again. Now it's like nonstop C and mid-level M's and below, and so it's like another pressure building. So I'm going to read. I'm going to read into the energy, see where we're at, see what wants to come through on the other side of the shift, because we did chunk off a lot. But again, it is kind of like we chunk off and then we go back around for another level. And it's really helpful to remember that what we are doing is we're clearing programs of separation from our cellular structure, from our soul journey through our Akash, through the collective, through our lineage. And that's, whether we're aware of it or not, that's the name of the game right now. And that's the deepest truth of what we're doing. So if you feel like you are cycling around and you can't get out of certain patterns, just know every time you go down back in there, you're going to chunk off another piece. Even if it gets messy, it's like if you signed up to go the whole way, you're going to go the whole way. And sometimes that can feel like failure. It can feel like I'm not getting anywhere, or, but the best thing that we can all do is not judge ourselves and just remind ourselves everything is about this ascension. Everything is about awakening. Everything is about consciousness, evolution, however you want to say it, and to just trust the process, allow the process, and to surrender to it no matter how messy it gets. Because it can feel, I've been observing a lot of people around me going through really hard times. I mentioned this before, just kind of like one thing after another, and myself as well, to different degrees, depending on how much you signed up to clear, how much darkness you've chosen to dance with, or that you've been trained for throughout your soul's journey. A lot of people are just warriors and soldiers, and they're able to face a lot. We're never given more than we can handle, though sometimes it can really feel that way, again, that pressure point. But it's like, just know there's going to be that breaking point where things release, where we get a new level of clarity. But yeah, it's really, really intense right now for a lot of people. So anyway, I'm going to pull an overall energy and just see what wants to come through the cards, what I get inspired to say in relation to them. Okay, so what's this? Oh, that's beautiful. So starfish spirit open to infinite possibilities. Okay, so again, it's like the whole name of the game right now is to clear out the opposite of infinite, which is lack and limitation and a victim and separation. So, as we come back into unity, come back into what is the true divine nature and the original plan for the human species before the hijack, before the fall, we open to infinite. So it's like that's where our arrow is pointed, and that's what I was reminding myself. I was out under the stars the other night, and it was right when that big X flare was coming. One of the X flares was coming in, and I didn't know it was coming in, but it's just when I'm out, it's funny. There's a star, yeah, the star. Okay, and infinite, because when I'm with the stars, it's like it's the past. It's the present, and it's the future. It's all there. And then within our own individual birth chart is our trajectory written, our past, present, and future. It's all written in the stars. And so when we're out under the stars, that's in the desert house where I'm at on the weekends, and I can just see. There's just no light pollution. There's nothing there, so I can see everything. And there's just such a feeling of infinite potential, where everything is unveiled, right? And so, and I was just asking, like, I just praying and intending and calling forth support to really go the whole way through, to unveil the whole way, so that it's just, me and God and the truth of reality. I don't want any caps. I don't want any distractions or delusions. It's all I care about at this point. Like, so much is falling away that all I want is to go the whole way through. And I felt so much support, and I felt, I just felt everything fall away, and that the unveiling of how simple it is. And what I heard was, I pace back and forth on our patio, and it's open, and it's pretty large, and it's flagstones with concrete in between. A lot of the flagstones are uneven, so it's like the contrast of the stones on my bare feet, the unevenness, and then the smooth of the stone and the rough of the concrete, and I just like pace back and forth, and it's like super grounding and super visceral. But what I was noticing is, as I went to the east, there was this certain energy, and it had a visual to it too. It was like I identified it as a Lyran energy, and it looked like a cat being, right? But it was just there in the back of my mind. Speaking of infinite possibilities, it's like there's so much in our periphery, like with the stars, right? Like, to like make the effort to go out at night and be with the stars. It's like getting outside of the confines and opening up to the infinite. So it's a good analogy. But as I was just kind of like pacing and enjoying the sensual feeling of the stones under my feet and looking up at the stars, and I had the above and the below, I was like, what is this thing on the periphery? What is this thing beyond? And so I focused on it, and I realized it was an energy that was coming in that I was perceiving. So obviously there was an interaction that was available for me. So I just asked, like, what is it that you want to tell me? And it was basically like, you are loved, you are held, and you are free. And as it said, you are free, it said, believe it at the same time, because we can feel really trapped here, again, trapped inside our houses, trapped inside the boxes of our lives, our responsibilities, and of course, trapped within the hijack of this realm and just the false matrix and the inversions and all of the fuckery that just doesn't really go away until we do the work and collapse it, right? Which is what we're being assisted galactically. We're being assisted through our higher selves, through our higher aspects, and being coded, how long am I rambling for 10 minutes? Being coded with how to do this, being coded. And so leaning into those other aspects of ourselves. So I knew it was a Lyran aspect of myself, and I'm very close with my Sirian and my Andromedan aspect, but the Lyran aspect, it's there, but I haven't connected as much. So I thought, oh, how wonderful, this is beautiful. And so believe that you're free, believe it. And then it said, believe that all is well and it will be. It's like we are the creators of our reality. And despite all the fuckery that might be going on in our lives as stuff is clearing and the things in our world that's triggering that release in us, I don't look too much to the world at all, because I realized a long time ago that the world is a reflection of our one consciousness that we are, and that the cleanup is within and the outer will change, and the outer is just a reflection. So I don't, it's just a distraction, and it just harvests our emotions, and we're just giving away our life force that we could choose to be using for our own awakening and clearing, to shift the hologram outwardly. And so I lost my train of thought. I'm saying a lot of things at once, right? The infinite possibilities. And so anyway, right, that it's that simple. We're the creators of our reality, and rather than getting caught up in the storyline in our lives or in the outer world, choosing to align our thoughts and our focus with what we want to create. We want to create. The truth is that all is well, that all is unraveling, and to not get caught into the distractions and into the illusion, and to just keep affirming the truth of reality, which is what we're trying to come back to, which is that all is well, and there are infinite possibilities in our universe, because we're co-creative beings. We're creative beings. And so believe that all is well and it will be. So keeping your focus there. And then I noticed when I walked to the west, there was a different energy, because my perception then was, and I was like, okay, and it was more of like an Arcturian energy. And so there was a different message that was like really sweet, and it kind of connected me with my childhood, and just, again, the innocence, and when everything was open, hearts were open, everything was play. It was, you didn't know what was going on, and you were just connected to your God self. And what's really funny, just because life is cute, I'll share this, but I thought, oh, this is like a Mr. Rogers type of energy, and maybe because it connected me to my childhood, and I've seen him when I was young, but I hadn't thought about him in decades. And so this was just last night, I guess. Was it last night? It was 2 nights ago. And so this morning I woke up, and there was a reel in my Facebook thing, and it was Mr. Rogers, and it was saying, like, looking in the mirror and having a conversation with myself after like the longest retrograde and eclipse period of my lifetime. And then he was just basically saying, like, look at all you've learned, and I'm so proud of you. I don't know how to imitate him, but it was just that cosmic wink of, like, our higher selves and those higher aspects, like always waiting in the wings to reassure us and to let us know that all is well, and that reminder to expand out beyond the boxes, beyond the confines, and going into that infinite space, feeling into the messages, calling on whoever we call on, ancestors, power animals, angels, our higher aspects, whatever it is, to connect and to reach beyond, look at this, reaching beyond what is holding us down, to connect to the truth. So that was a lot. I do tend to share a lot in the beginning. So let's keep moving here. What do we get? Oh, that's so beautiful. Look, the star. And there's another star. Oh my gosh, I wondered if I was going to share my story about the stars, but it really seems relevant with all these star cards. So here we go again, and the star card is one of alignment, being held in the arms of the goddess, being held in the arms of the truth of reality, of our higher selves, of our whatever words you lean, whatever beings, entities, energetic signatures, the galactics that you lean into. For me this weekend, obviously, it was the galactics, as I just shared, coming from the stars, but being aspects of ourselves, connecting higher and farther to sustain us through these crunches, these pressures where you're like, oh, because you can feel really confined, because it just highlights the darkness and it highlights the shadow, and it's just like, look at it, 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 bust through it, let it break you. It's like, let it tear you apart, let it get to the point where you're like, oh my god, I can't take it anymore. And then usually that will coincide with the next flare, and you'll break on through to another side until another crunch comes, and now we're going to do this, now we're going to do this, now we're going to do this. But that reminder, I get a little disappointed when, I'm like, oh my God, I have clarity and I'm free. And, I've always had a lot of ecstasy and bliss and just like happiness and creativity in my life ever since I was small. And I've also always had a lot of, I had a tarot reader from Pittsburgh, actually, when I lived in Pittsburgh, Ruth and Sharkey. And they would do like 3-hour long readings for like $11. They were so amazing. If you didn't have money, which I didn't at the time, but they told me my main card, because they would do a spread for, I don't know how they did it, but my main card was the sun. So they're like, if your main card is the sun, you're gonna have light and you're gonna have dark, and you have to embrace the dark because it's very much part of why you're here and what you're doing. So that was so true for me. And so it was like, having great periods of ecstasy and, just fully connected, and then going way down into the dark. And so, a lot of us that have that configuration can kind of feel disappointed when you feel you're in the clear, but then you go into another compression, and there's service in it, and it's something you're really good at. It's the dark feminine, it's the goddess energy. And I work with a lot of people actually that are like that, because I understand how easy it is to feel like a failure, and how easy it is to feel like you just can't get it right in this life, because this life is solar. It's just, you're always supposed to be productive, and that's the hijack of like this like masculine linear. And if you have a cyclical nature and you are in touch with the feminine mysteries, and you do the deep alchemies, and you're here in service working with the polarities, you can really have a lot of self-esteem issues, especially before you start to awaken and understand. And even once you do, you still have to clear that while continuing to do the cyclical dark phases. And so that's a lot of the people that I work with in sessions, supporting people and affirming their power, and helping them to understand that it's very much a gift, and the warrior in them, not a failure. And so anyway, I don't remember where I got into all that. You might remember. You can make the connections. But the star cards, yeah, that's what it was. When we go into one of those darker moments, knowing, I remember one time when it was probably like 2015, when I was really training myself to not resist the dark passages. And what I realized, because I used to stay in them for maybe like 3 weeks, because I would resist them and they would last a really long time. And I found that when I don't resist and I just surrender, they move through way quicker, like a day or a couple hours or whatever. Sometimes longer, depending on how deep we're going. But I wrote this poem, and it was like, so what I realized is that when I was down in underneath, and it was like I was underwater and I was like thrashing around, and then I realized, like, wait, I'm a mermaid. Like, I know how to breathe underwater, I know how to swim underwater, and this is just a different energy, it's a different terrain. And yeah, there aren't a lot of people that are here, and everybody else is just out in the world doing their thing, but there is something sacred about this, and allowing the energy of the waters, and the mermaid energy, the fluidity, the dolphin, the whales, and connecting with that. And what I found right after I connected that and I wrote this poem, I popped out. It was over, and then I missed it. I thought, oh, it's so gorgeous, though. It's so special. It has this like deep, profound importance. So I was trying to train myself that next time I would go down in, I would remember that, the importance of those passages. And of course I wouldn't. I would still continue to resist. And it took a long time to be able to be like, now I can go in and be like, okay, this is just like any other time. We're clearing, we're alchemizing, we'll pop out when we're done. Just be graceful, but to keep that alignment, even when you're in a darker place, to keep that alignment, keep that higher perspective of why you're there. It's not that you're a failure. It's not that you're just unconscious and you're not making progress and you're playing out old patterns. No, you're a warrior, you're a soldier, you're doing everything you've been trained to do. This is why you're here. It's written on your soul, exactly how to do this, and to embrace that, to embrace your mission, to embrace the way life presents for you, and to know, again, like the Lyran said to me, believe that all is well. because all is well. But when we believe it, then it is, because that's the energy that we're putting out. We're not in an energy of resistance. Things can flow. We're connected to that goddess energy, that breathing underwater, that mermaid energy, that deep sacred wisdom of the dark feminine, the cyclical nature, the truth of reality. We have a moon and a sun, we have stars, anyway. So all right, so let me get some more tarot here, see what else has to come through. How long did I talk? Oh, 2020, cool. Oh, Four of Wands, beautiful. Yes, Four of Wands. So this is a union card. It's a celebration card, but it's a union card. So again, the dark and the light, the up and the down, the cyclical nature of things, celebrating them all. Having them all, honoring the turn around the wheel. Speaking again of the wheel and the changes, honoring every part of it, knowing that it all has a wisdom. It's written in your cells. We're coded with this. We just don't remember, but we can lean into it. We can ask for assistance. We can call on, beyond the confines, beyond the boxes of what we're used to living, call beyond, and honor the both polarities, bringing them into unity and living in wholeness where we can receive the information, because we're not just viewing through one half. We have both halves, and so we can hear and receive and celebrating. And there is a community celebration kind of energy going on, as well as more and more of us awaken to what we're actually doing here. And the feeling that you get when you connect with somebody, where you're like, oh my God, you understand, you speak my language. We're having all these synchronicities, and we're doing things the same way. You meet your soul tribe. You meet those people that are living in a way similar to you. They understand, and the celebration and the heart expansion, and that, again, the openness and that infinite potential, when people, like minds, expanded conscious minds, come together, everything that's possible. So there is this feeling of building, of co-creation. Co-creation, we create through unity. We create through the yin and the yang, through the merging of the dark and the light, and embracing both parts, all parts, everything. And then you have access. You have 1 and 2 and 3. You have access to that third energy of creation. And then you put one whole being with another whole being and another whole being. It's in infinite, infinitely more power to create and to affect, again, what we do within ourselves. Like I was saying earlier, rather than looking to the outer world, just focus on yourself. You'll magnetize in those other people that are a match to you, and the co-creation of your individual life and hologram will flow. It will flow as a result of the inner union you have within yourself and the world. The more and more people do that, the more the world, the collective play, the drama on the wider scene will reflect that, because it's all fractals. It's all consciousness. It's all one thing. So it's the whole Nemo, is that his name, in the Matrix, where it's like, you're the one, we're all the one. If just one person does it, right? We put that energy out into the etheric field. It makes it easier for other people. The more of us that are doing that, the more we come together in this circle of unity, where the fuckery and the hijacks and the lies and the inversions can't hold anymore, because the vibration of the planet becomes high enough that they can't exist, because they have nothing to feed off of anymore. They can only exist by feeding off of our lower emotions. And when we come into that unity, and we're no longer resisting the cyclical nature of our own lives, and the natural process of healing, which sometimes gets messy, and we're no longer going into fear and resistance, which is also feeding the lower paradigm. We walk through it gracefully with alignment and acceptance and understanding more and more and more. Each time around the wheel, we start to vibrate higher ourselves, where they can't feed off of us. And the more of us that do that, the more we change the energetic signature of this planet, which is the name of the whole game. And again, being supported by the galactics, by our higher aspects, by our galactic aspects, because they have that wider view. They know what this Earth trek, this Earth game is about. They know what it's about, and we have assistance. We have assistance in our limited state, with our amnesia, where we can't remember our codes, all that we kind of end with, but we can call out, because again, they're waiting there. They're waiting there on the sidelines here, just waiting for us to ask those parts of ourselves, those guides that are helping us. They're waiting, because this is a group effort. It affects them as well, because it is unity. unity consciousness, with all consciousness. All consciousness is one. Okay, yep, there's the bitch. So there's the devil. There he is. Look at how big he thinks he is. You know, so huge with his horns and his rock hard body, you know, and with you know, his slaves. Just this is, you know, us chained to this false matrix, chained to a complete inversion of the truth of reality, separation, division, fear, random, be scared, you know, you better run around and give your power away to this, that, and the next thing. Don't you dare find it within yourself. Don't you dare reach within, reach without. What if they taught that in schools? Like, remember to meditate. Remember to ask your ancestors. Remember to ask your spirit guides. Remember to ask the angels. Remember that. Do that every day. Line up the energy. What if we were taught in metaphysical, spiritual things, but we're not? It's like it doesn't even exist, you know? And so, getting all fired up. This card really pisses me off. I've been getting it a lot lately. Yeah, but just, you know, and all the things that are going on, all the really dark agendas, and, you know, and not everybody's aware of them or interfaces with them, but when you do and you are, some of the things that have been going on with my daughter with these mind control programs and these technologies and the neural monitoring and voice to skull and all these things, it's like, how does this even exist? How dare you? You know, how dare you? And it's hard to not get mad about this stuff. So I'm going to start a new row with this one. Let's see what else we want to say about the devil. Oh, good. Yeah. So the next card that comes out is the Six of Wands. This is a victory card. So that's absolutely right. But it comes out with the King of Swords. And so the King of Swords in this deck represents to me the distorted masculine energy, the linear energy, the, you know, needing proof for everything. It's he who ignores this. He who ignores the training, the educational training that pulls us away from our creativity, our intuition, or the feminine. You know, it's just none of that. None of the cyclical nature is real. If you can't, you know, produce incessantly in the world, then you're a failure. You know, all the things I was talking about. Here he is. And so we got the devil in this, which, you know, this is like his minion. You know, this is all the arms of society, the medical system, the educational system, the religious system, to a large extent. You know, that's just, you know, the servants of this guy, you know, that are just keeping us, you know, kind of trapped. But look, what's in the middle is a victory. So again, there's kind of validating that energy I was just talking about, as more and more of us do that work within ourselves, honoring the polarities, honoring the cyclical nature of things, honoring the feminine. I mean, this, one of the things that I really learned from it, I talked about this a lot in my last video. So many people did not like that video. I lost so many subscribers and people unfriended me. A lot of people don't like the dark. They don't like to talk about the dark. They don't want to acknowledge that we are, you know, in a spiritual war, a spiritual battle, you know, that you know, the way that the duality plays out when we're not unified within at this point in human evolution, right? They don't want to hear it. That's fine. They want to do this, you know. But this channel is definitely for the people that understand not only the existence of the polarities and the darkness on this planet, but also the sacred passage, the importance of the dark treks, the importance of our journeys through them, not just to dismantle this stuff because it's been imprisoning us, but because it's the nature of this realm. It's the nature of this realm, polarities, light and dark. And again, we have to explore and experience both of them to come into unity, to be able to harness our creative ability. You can't create from one side. You need both. And if you're going to have both, you're going to have to face the dark. So if you want to just go along with the program and pretend there's only one side, then that's fine. You know, that's your choice, and you're playing a part of the polarity as well, because some people are only dark and some people are only light. But you know, the people that really want to come into unity with both parts and to be catalysts, those pre-wavers that are creating our new earth, our new world, then yeah, we're going to look at this, you know. So if that's you, then yay, and thank you, Soul Tribe. You know, we are in this together, and you know, if it's not, then you're not even listening by now anymore. So, but anyway, the victory card between these two. So again, as we confront this darkness within, confront it in the world, understand that the way we bring it all together is really through embracing the fact that it exists. So again, you know, the turning and the away and the no, I don't want to look at that, you know, it's like that's kind of the problem in the first place, because we reject parts of ourselves, we reject parts of society. I have a dear friend, but she often will say, like, oh, I can't handle that person's energy, she's so dark, you know, and it's like, well, we all have darkness, and a lot of people that feel really dark are, working. They're alchemists. They're soldiers. They've taken on a lot of darkness in their life to clear. So again, that kind of like rejection of that, and I understand it completely. It's like it feels weird, it feels wrong, and some people are like, really dark and not, not alchemizing it. They're narcissists or sociopaths or whatever. It's like there's a spectrum, right? But there's that area of sacred darkness where the warriors are, the soldiers are working to unify, to transmute, to. But what it really is it's embracing it. It's not running from it. It's not turning away from it. It's not judging yourself. It's not judging it. It's just kind of realizing that there are initiations and sacred passages, where you go in and you. My daughter used to have a lot of, before she had this like really extreme dance with dark. I mean, she's had a lot of it her whole life, really. But I kind of came in. I started off as sort of like a fairy. I was just like, I had my dips, and I had like entities and darker energies around me all the time. So I guess I did have it, but I didn't have like trauma. I had a sweet sweet childhood. It was kind of normal, right? It was normal. It wasn't like esoteric or anything like that. And I felt a little like odd. I felt like I have something going on that people can't see, and that was hard. But I didn't have like deep trauma. Okay, so but the people that come in that have a lot of deep trauma and distortion are really doing the work. They're really doing the work for humanity, for their lineages. And so really grateful for my daughter for that. But she used to have these dreams where there would be demons, and she would go and like run and hug them. She would tackle them, and she would hug them, and she would love them, and they would turn into like purple dust. And it's like, it's not like it's not always how it works, right? It's not always how it works, but on a symbolic level it is. It's like you don't resist your again your times, like what I was saying about the mermaid, the times in the dark, the times in the when you're held in those denser energies. You don't resist them, feeling that you're going to be trapped there. You know your power, your sovereignty, your connection, and that you're gonna get through it. You're gonna get through it because it wouldn't be happening if you weren't, because we sign up. We sign up. It's written. It's written in the stars. It's written. Our journeys are written in the stars. It's written in our astrology. What we're going to be experiencing, what we're here on mission for. It's all seen in our astrological charts. And of course, we can play that out on different levels, different levels of embodiment and consciousness in a lower distorted way, or the exalted way, which obviously is what we're trying to do, right? What we're trying to do to rise up into the highest, most unified version of it. Where we're not victims of anything, but we're embracing our trials, and we're bringing them through the whole way to victory, the whole way back to unity. So a lot of messages coming through today around acceptance of the nature of reality, acceptance of the sacred darkness, of the passages of darkness, of knowing that they cycle back around, not judging ourselves, not judging it, just knowing this is how we untie the knot. This is what it's like when we are at the shift of the ages, where things come back into clarity. In the world of duality, there's light and dark, and they both exist, even though our society has kind of flipped everything on its head. It's tried to hide the dark, both the truth of how much of this actually goes on, but also the sacred darkness as well. The whole continuum of darkness has been rejected, because it's like, don't know that this here is here, and don't know that you have the power to work with this and to incorporate this into a unified alignment within yourself and within the truth of this realm, so that you have that co-creative power to join with others in acceptance and oneness. Oneness is all, and creating a new world. So, okay. Let's see. Let me do, the readings tend to be about 45 minutes these days. Let me pull a little bit more tarot, and then I'm going to go into the oracle cards. So what do we get? Oh, the King of Wands. Oh, that's interesting. So the King of Wands coming right after the King of Swords. So in this deck, this is very much, like I said, the distorted masculine, the linear, the minion of the darker energy in its extreme sense, right? The King of Wands is heart-centered. He's kind of like the champion of the heart, the champion of the fire, the champion of the spirit-led, spirit-aligned union creation. It's creation energy co-creating with spirit. So that's really beautiful. So it's like after this, this victory, again, kind of validating that, the creation energy, being a master of that energy, because you have the one equals the three. You know, speaking of twin flame energy, you know, I was having a conversation with somebody recently about that, and just how those journeys, if you've been on that journey with where you know, you feel so much unity with this other person that it's like you remember the truth of reality, you remember unity consciousness, you remember God, you remember everything, and then they leave, you know, they abandon you, you know, if you're the feminine, and it just kind of like breaks you open. It breaks you open, and you start that healing journey. You start that healing journey, and you have to face all your darkness and all the rejection and, you know, all of that. But in the end, you come back to the true union, which is with your higher self, you know, your higher aspects. You come into that union within yourself, which is the whole point of it, and then you're able to create and co-create with others on this planet, which may or may not involve a divine counterpart, you know, of a true, you know, a yin yang and a yin yang, you know, creates a big creation. Anyway, okay, I'm going to do the oracle of the goddess of the moon oracle. All right, let's see here. Goddess of the moon oracle. What else? I only have 7 cards on the table. Oh, the path. Yeah, exactly. So there it is again. Walking the path. Accepting whatever your version of reality is. It is not wrong. It is not wrong. It only is shown to be wrong. You know, if your path is messy and crazy and whatever it is, you know, it's only shown to be wrong. You know, if you look through the confines of what we've been told is normal and what we should be living, which is the false reality, which is the lie, which is the limitation. We're going into infinite possibility, so we have to walk our unique path, again, written in the stars. Is exactly perfect for us. So accepting it, it's taking us to this. It's taking you to victory. It's taking you to alignment. It's taking you to a true co-creation. But we have to get our power back. We have to get our alignment back. We have to clear out all the muck that's jamming up our bodies, jamming up our third eyes, jamming up, you know, this free flow of creation, where we do create a new world right now. We're really in the muck and mire, clearing out eons of distortion. A lot of people doing a lot in those realms, and the galactics, the solar energy, a lot of assistance. It's really, really heightened right now. I listened to that Sasha Stone video with all the elders, the Hopi elders, and there was a guy from the Maori, and a lot of really beautiful, if you've seen that. Anyway, what he talked about was after that eclipse on the 8th, he was just, you know, almost like sternly advising, you know, people to, if you really want to be in alignment with the energy, because that eclipse being really connected to, again, a lot of prophecies and a real turning point with the shift of the ages. If you really want to honor the sanctity is a word that's coming, the sacredness of this passage, he said, go into 40 days of what was the word? Repentance. 40 days of repentance after that eclipse. So I counted out the other day. I think we're on like day 26 or something as I do this video. I was going to look it up and see the exact date, but we have about a week and a half left to get to 40 days. I think it's about a week and a half, a little under 2 weeks. And so, but yeah, and I kind of wonder if perhaps the energy will shift or stabilize after that. That really struck me. It really stayed in my mind when he said that 40 days after, where there's just this kind of process. It's like, so before the eclipse, I was having all these synchronicities with Anubis and the scales and the feather, the weighing of the heart. You know, do you get into heaven? Well, heaven at this point in time being, you know, the new earth, the higher age, you know, living from a unified center, from unity consciousness, and co-creating a new earth together in union with others. Those of us on that journey for our own evolution and for the evolution of humanity, that being the goal, that being sort of the turning point with this eclipse. It's like just doing the work, like through the eye of the needle. You know, it's like it's showtime. Like do clean it up. You know what I mean? Clean it up. That's what it feels like. Like clean this shit up. And it's just time. We've been working on it, but we've been doing it slowly. We've been in both worlds. We've been kind of like still playing in the lower realm, you know, and it's just like, yeah, it's just time. It's time to get serious, and it's pretty crunchy for a lot of us. Maybe, I don't know. The people that I talk to, the people that I hang with, everybody seems to be going through this. But I'm sure there are other other collectives. But again, I'm reading for a certain collective. So, but again, the victory card right in the middle. So we are being victorious. But it's showtime. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes through when we're on the other side of that 40-day period. I think that's really interesting. Jesus, 40 days, desert. All right, so what do we get? Grounding. Oh yeah, very, very, very important, right? Especially with these solar energies, but it's not just the solar energies, it's just this whole time where it's like all the timelines are collapsing, and a lot of our different aspects are kind of flooding in where you can feel really ungrounded. And so it plays out differently in our individual. There's a collective energy that's going on, and then it plays out individually in our lives, right? So for me, for 11 years, I was used to having a lot of time alone because I lost custody of my kids twice because my ex is, likes that. And, but now my daughter is living with me again. So I would see them on the weekends, sometimes only 6 days a month. And I had a lot of free time. I had a lot of free time. I spent a lot of time, connecting, a lot of time in nature, a lot of time with creativity. It was awful because I had to watch them be neglected, and there was really nothing I could do about it but hold space. But I held a lot of space in that higher realm. And now my daughter, who's now 17, is living with me, and I have oh my God, no time alone. So today is the first time in 3 months that I'm having more. I think one other time I had 2 hours alone. And so I have this 4-hour stretch today, and I'm in my house alone. Oh my God, but it's it just shakes me up. It's all the things that I was doing, to keep myself grounded, and it was all just perfectly woven into my lifestyle. It was so effortless, and it was just flowing along. And of course, whenever I had to do one of these, a circle around, I had everything perfectly set up to sustain me. And now it's so much of my life is about helping her heal and helping her, which is such an honor and so beautiful and so wonderful. But it's really shaken me up. So it's I have to find new ways to ground, so I'm having somebody help me clear out my garden space, which I haven't really been tending to. And I'm just, so instead of being able to go in the forest all day with a friend, I can go out in my garden and be creative, and, I'm bringing in all these whatever, just sticks. I like to decorate my garden with different things, and so anyway, just finding new ways to ground. But so a lot of us are finding that just something has come into our lives that has shaken us up. For another woman I know, it's a health issue. She's having all these crazy health things happen, and it's not being able to tend to her home or her animals or anything. It's just the shake-up, right? The shake-up, shaking things up so that we confront this stuff within ourselves and within the world, so that we can go into it, be the mermaids that we are, and call out for that higher assistance. Because when it gets that dark, when you're way down here, there are just certain times where you're just help, I can't do this. No, little us that was conditioned into this cannot do this. We need the assistance of our aspects, which are with us. We're coded with them. We just don't remember. And with our guides, or again, however you want to think of it, calling that in, and having that so that we can be victorious, so that we can come into this alignment, so that we can create our new world, and knowing that is the path. And so that lack of grounding and that shake up is getting us to come home to God. Really, it's you lose everything, you feel you're losing everything, you feel very, very unequipped, because again, we're conditioned into this linear solar way of being. A lot of us aren't comfortable with the darker realms, with the darker passages. A lot of people are being initiated into them, and it's really hard for them because they don't understand, and you can't honor it as the path because you're scared and whatever. But it's all for a divine reason, to get us to have victory over those parts, to embrace and be in touch with those parts of ourselves. But again, the shakeup is important, but so is grounding, finding ways to ground through it, new ways. So, feet on the earth, lots of water, crystals, plants, animals, whatever it is, journaling, dancing, whatever it is that can. For me, it's that I like to sun gaze when I'm down in the desert house. I'm in a small town, and the forest is nearby, and I live right at the base of what used to be a mine, an old mine, but now it's just this public area. And so I have a lot of nature around me, but then on the in the desert house, it's just open sky, so I can sun gaze. I can be with the stars, and that's something that I have every weekend, and it just like keeps me, keeps me going. And so just finding those things, finding new rhythms if you've had that shakeup, which I know a lot of us have. So, oh, we're at 44 minutes. Okay, so I think I'm just going to pull a couple more cards and close this out. I don't want it to be too long. So we have, oh, that's weird. Relationship. Interesting. Like, relationship is so far from my mind. I'm like, what's that? Like, relationship, who cares? But again, so I often read relationship cards as, again, that union with self, that union with the polarity. But I also see this kind of like this card where we are coming together with other like-minded people, finding our soul tribe, and kind of like these, what is this? It's like coals. Oh, it's coals sparking, right? So when coming together with other people that are on the same page with us, and it is that spark of consciousness, that Kundalini activation. We can activate each other. We activate dormant codes. Maybe somebody else is good in an area that you're struggling, and vice versa. Where you can just helping each other out. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, relationship. And relationship is not always man and woman, and what we've sort of been conditioned to think is normal, right? Kind of if we've moved out of that, relationship being that communing with like-minded souls, creating consciousness together. So that's really beautiful. So that message kind of came up a couple times, again, you might have felt really alone. You might have felt, just some of that, being in the dark a lot, maybe some of that self-judgment or feeling overwhelmed, but calling out for help, calling out, connecting higher, and then finding it also comes in the form of other people. My daughter would get in these really low places, and when she was going through her trial, which she's getting a handle of more and more and more, but we would go out onto town, and she was isolated for like 4 or 5 years. She's just completely isolated down in that desert spot. But now that she's living with me, she's healing from a lot, but being around people is strange for her. She doesn't understand that like there's all kinds of magical synchronicities in life and with humans, and so she's just always kind of afraid of them and resentful of them and stuff like that. And so, but we're having all these like miraculous synchronicities and like seeing the same people over and over again to the point where she's like, oh my God, and it feels really heightened. Like I feel like the universe or her guides or whatever is really putting a lot in for her to know, like the world is going to save you. The world is going to save you and guide you through these darker bits. You're not alone. You will be victorious because little you does not have to do this. You are doing this in collaboration with not only your higher aspects, but with the others that you pull in through that connection within, through that calling out in the dark to something higher for help. You magnetize in those relationships and people that help you, that spark you, that take you further, that bring you that piece of information that you need to go further, that bring you that exactly what you need, exactly the right opportunity, whatever it is. And that, again, so that's really beautiful. I'm going to pull one last card. I think I'll do, I almost used all of them. I'm going to use my, yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to pull, let's see, I'm going to do a goddess card. We'll end on a goddess card. There was a lot of goddess energy in this reading, really being asked to lean into that. The goddess energy is returning to this planet, and it needs to be incorporated into our lives. Again, if we want to live in unity and wholeness with these energies, it's like evolve or repeat, right? Are we going to do the hamster wheel, or are we going to turn and embrace this? Well, the energies, our higher selves, the galactic energies, solar energies are showing us, they're forcing us basically. So the card that we get is the past. Okay, and so what always comes through for me on this card, I think it's in the guidebook as well, is the treasures that we find in the past. So that's very similar. Again, just one last reminder around this, when we go into some of that trauma and wounding, the darkness that gets kicked up, it's very much connected to our past, but it's like we're going back in with our higher consciousness to retrieve the treasures that are found down there. So it also kind of goes along with what I was saying about this, these sparks, these codes that we have, that we that as we go in and we alchemize the darkness, we come out with information, we come out with more wisdom, we come out, and then we're able to activate others with that wisdom, because it's like our badges, right? Things that we've earned in other lifetimes that we don't remember. As we go into these darker energies, they link up with past lives, they link up with different past lives. Well, I mean, there's really it's not really past, you know what I mean? But it's like the parallel, the other aspects of our soul journey, the other things that we bring on board to bring forward with us, incorporating it all, collapsing it all back into soul and back onto our soul path, and gathering them all. And again, doing that through that inner alchemy, through embracing the darker bits, finding because it links up with our past. I'm just gonna say past lives. You know what I mean? Because whatever, our minds are mostly trained in this, but what we've experienced, the other aspects of ourselves that we carry within us that have been dormant as we go into this, it links us up with some of those trials from other times that we can. How do I want to say it? I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about, but it's like you can collapse the timelines where they merge into one, where you can get the gem, you can get that code, activated, where it can come forward, and then you can get information. It's like the sky, co-creating with spirit, but you get information from those aspects that carries you through forward on your path, the path of creation, creating with others. But then you also, as you have those things activated in your field, you carry that transmission, you can activate others. So again, it's like as we confront this stuff, we collapse those timelines, we retrieve those codes, we activate those codes, we change our energetic signature, we interact with others, we're co-creating, and we're walking forward a new energy onto this planet, which then manifests a whole new society. So big, powerful message, really encouraging a lot about alignment and remembering to embrace and accept and to call out co-creation with others, embracing the darker bit. So anyway, a lot in there. I hope that was helpful to some of you, and thank you for listening. Oh my God, 51 minutes. That's a bit long if you made it this far. I am doing personal readings still online if you would like one. I have different options now. I have shorter ones. I'm doing like a 15-minute reading one, half hour, and 45 if you want longer. And I just record and send them to you if you're from afar, if you're in town. I'm reading at Mystic on Thursdays, and I also do energy work sessions if you're interested in that. So anyway, thank you for joining me. And if you've made it this far, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for all of this. Thank you for all of this and the co-creation that we're doing together at this time. And I feel you all in the telepathic network. I feel you all, and that reminder to like lean into that energy when you are in one of those darker moments, knowing that we're all doing this together. All right, much love, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.